What's the best buffet at sea? And more importantly, which one's the worst? Let's look at 10 different cruise line buffets. Hey everybody, welcome back to Cruise Report. Today I am going to give you my personal opinion of 10 different cruise line buffets based upon personal experience over the last several years. Now, we haven't been on each of these cruise lines within the last year. Some of them we have been within the last year or two. First, let me give you a little background. We have been on 151 cruises, and we've cruised with, I think, over 40 or 41 different cruise lines. So we have a pretty good experience with cruise lines and cruise line dining, and that maybe gives us a little bit of a unique perspective. Now, I will be honest with you, we are not big fans of buffets for a couple of reasons. Number one, usually the food is kind of bland. Number two, you don't get the service normally in a buffet that you would get, say, in a dining room or a specialty restaurant. And most importantly, and I think this really came to light during the pandemic, we are not big fans of buffets where everybody's handling the same utensils to get their food. If we do eat on a buffet, we much prefer a buffet where the crew puts the food on your plate and then hands you the plate. We'll talk a little bit about that as I go through these. I've got 10 different cruise lines I'm going to compare. And like I say, these are based on fairly recent experiences with these different cruise lines. Now, I'm going to rate each one of these buffets on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10, of course, being the highest level you could get, 1 being the lowest. I think the only fair way to do this is to just sort these cruise lines alphabetically and then give you my rating and tell you why I'm giving you that rating. So the first one on the list is Carnival. Carnival has the Lido Market Buffet. Usually, I think it's on the pool deck on every ship, I'm pretty sure. Hence the name Lido Buffet. Now, we're going to give this a rating of 4 out of 10. We're not big fans of the Lido Market on Carnival, mostly because the food is haphazard. It's really kind of just nothing special in our opinion. And we find the buffet to be, it's so large and it can get extremely crowded, and it becomes a little bit of a traffic nightmare. And that's a problem with many cruise line buffets. They really don't do a good job of managing traffic. So we tend to avoid dining on Carnival at the Market Buffet. We'd much rather go down to the pizza place and get some pizza, or a Guy Fieri's, a Guy's Burger, something else. We just usually avoid the Marketplace Buffet. Now, let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on each of my ratings and my opinions. If you have a higher opinion of the Carnival Buffet or any of the buffets I talk about, please let me know in the comments down below. The second on our list, which is at the opposite end of the scale as far as our ratings, is the Oceanview Café on Celebrity Cruises. Now, we've recently been on Celebrity Beyond and Celebrity Apex. We're planning another Celebrity Beyond cruise this year, and we've been very impressed with Oceanview Café. The only negative with Oceanview Café is that they don't do as much at dinner time as some of the other cruise lines. So your choices are a little more limited if you choose to eat in the buffet at dinner. But for breakfast or lunch, it's pretty hard to beat the Oceanview Café, especially for a large ship. We love the choices. They will serve you. They seem to have enough crew members in the food service areas that if you want them to plate the food for you, they will do it. Some of the best food we had on Celebrity was at the Oceanview Café. We also like the seating It's a very comfortable environment. They come around and serve you drinks or sodas or whatever you want. Take your drink orders. So we found the experience in the Oceanview Cafe to be very good. It's a very comfortable environment, a little classier than, say, what I was referring to in Carnival. Carnival's kind of a bright, maybe that teal blue color. And I don't know, it's just not, to me, it's not a very inviting atmosphere, whereas Celebrity is. It feels almost like you're dining in a restaurant. And of course, you go at the very back of the Oceanview Cafe on the Edge class ships. You can find the pizza, and there is even some outdoor seating at the Oceanview Cafe. Now that earns Celebrity Cruises a 9 out of 10 in my rating system. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of Oceanview Cafe on Celebrity. Alphabetically, the next cruise line is Crystal Cruises. Now, Crystal is a luxury cruise line. It's top tier, 5-star. Ultra luxury, all inclusive. And for a luxury cruise line, luxury cruise lines are much smaller in size. I think it only holds 700 or 800 people. They usually have a much more abbreviated buffet than the bigger ships, but Crystal does an excellent job. We think it's the best buffet of any luxury cruise line. We're giving it 9 out of 10. Now, here's what we like about the Crystal Buffet. They have 2 serving lines, port side, starboard side. It's a straight line. You don't have all these different stations. You have to wander around. I think they do the best job of crowd management. Crystal will also serve you the food. They'll plate the food for you. You have to ask for it because they do have utensils that people can pick up and serve themselves. But if you ask the crew members, they will plate the food for you, which is a nice feature. Now, Crystal, the only negative to the Crystal Buffet is they're not open in the evenings, so you can't have buffet dining. This is typical of a lot of luxury cruise lines. They close the buffet in the evening. Silversea does the same thing. But Crystal Cruises, in our opinion, 9 out of 10. One thing we love about the Crystal Buffet also is every day they have these pretzel breadsticks that are delicious. They bake their own bread on board the ship, obviously. And they also have fresh shrimp every day, the cocktail shrimp. Excellent. Very, very good. Good food, good service, excellent service actually in the buffet. Same service you get everywhere on a Crystal ship. So Crystal Cruises, that is the Marketplace Buffet, gets a 9 out of 10. Okay, let's go to Holland America next. Holland America, the last time we cruised on Holland America was on the Rotterdam. I'm primarily referring to that class of ship and that particular ship. We really did enjoy the Rotterdam Buffet. We thought they did a much better than average job for a good-sized ship. I think they hold 2,500 people, and they always have a lot of choice of Asian and Indian food. I'm not talking too much about breakfast buffets in this because we don't eat breakfast that often, and if we do, we usually go to main dining. And almost all buffets do a pretty good job with breakfast. They have omelet stations. They're all pretty similar in that regard. I'm primarily focusing on lunch and dinner. And Holland America, we think, does a pretty good job. I'm giving it 8 out of 10. I don't think it's as good as Celebrity, but it's pretty close. And they will also plate your food for you on Holland America. In fact, they're the first cruise line, I think, to offer that level of service. That gives them a big edge up on most other cruise line buffets. Good job. It's also a relatively comfortable dining room in the buffet. Not as nice as Celebrity, but still pretty good. And we prefer to sit toward the very back of the ship because it just doesn't seem to get as crowded back there. But they have good service. They come around, take drink orders. They do a good job on Holland America. Our next cruise line is MSC Cruises. This is the one buffet we try to avoid at all costs. We've been on 3 MSC cruises, MSC Orchestra, MSC Divina, and we did like a 3-day media trip aboard MSC Seashore when it was first introduced. Each time we tried the buffet and were very, very disappointed. I think we only tried it once on each trip and it just wasn't good. So we did not have a good experience at the buffet on MSC cruises. There are a couple of exceptions. I'm giving MSC cruises a 3 out of 10. That's the lowest score of any cruise line buffet on this list. We found the entrees to be bland. We found the service to be haphazard at best. The dining room was chaotic, lots of crowd, very crowded. If you are going to go to the buffet on MSC cruises, go to the very aft of the buffet because there's a secondary serving line, at least on the ships we've been on, and not many people know about it. So if you go to the very back, it's not nearly as crowded, but the food's still meh. We just found the food to be cold, bland, uninspired. That's just our opinion. Now, there's a couple of things that got it a 3. It got it up to a 3. It probably would have been a 1. The pizza is very good on the MSC buffet. And the charcuterie in the evening, they do a good job with Parma ham and prosciutto and some of the charcuterie items. Those are nice. If you just went down there and got a plate of charcuterie and then took it back to your stateroom or took it somewhere else, it's pretty well done. Other than that, like the burgers, they pre-cook the burgers and pre-package them and set them out, for people to come take. So they could be sitting there for 30 minutes. It's going to be cold, stale. They need to do a better job on MSC cruises. Now, we will be on MSC cruises very shortly. And we've watched a couple of videos recently from other content creators and YouTubers that claim they've improved their buffet. So we're going to give it another shot. We're going to go down for lunch and maybe even dinner one night, but certainly for lunch. And we're going to give the MSC buffet another shot. And if they've improved it, we'll come back here. We'll do a new update of this video. And, we want to give MSC every opportunity we want to be fair. Okay. So if you've had a bad experience at an MSC buffet, put it in the comments down below. Let me know what your experience was. Okay, next on the list is NCL. We were recently on the Norwegian Aqua, which is one of their newer ships. I think they call it Prima class ships. So this would apply to Aqua, Prima, Viva. They're all, the same design. And they have what's called the Surfside buffet. Now this is, I think it's aft of the pool. And we're giving that a rating of 7 out of 10. Not so much because of the food. We had some good food at the Surfside Café. Really good pizza. We had some really good Asian dishes. The reason it's only getting 7 out of 10 is because they had limited offerings. It's a relatively small buffet for a ship this size. I think they plan on more people going down and eating at the local or in the food hall, the indulged food hall. So they kind of shrunk down the buffet. It's only on one side. I believe it's on the port side of the ship. And you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that. But so it's very small. It's only one straight serving line. And it's about half the size of comparable ships, buffets, just because they have so many other dining venues on the ship. But we found the food to be very good. Now, it also gets a 7 because it can get very crowded, very chaotic. It kind of becomes a traffic nightmare because people coming down from the Haven have to kind of come through the buffet to get out to the pool. But 7 out of 10, good food on Norwegian Aqua. It was our experience. We'll be back on Norwegian Luna next January. So we're looking forward to trying it again. Let me know in the comments what you think of Norwegian NCL's buffet. Okay, our next cruise line is Princess. And our last experience was about a year ago on Sun Princess. We did a transatlantic cruise, and they used to have what's called the Fresh Marketplace. I think that's what they call it on their Regal or Royal class ships. And now they call it the Eatery on the Sun class or Sphere class ships. And we found everything we did not like about the Fresh Marketplace on the earlier ships, we found to be still present, along with a few other things, on the Eatery. Now, what we don't like, number one, is it's mostly self-serve. Number two, it's extreme chaos. It gets so crowded in that buffet on Sun Princess. One day we went in and we were able to get food and we couldn't find a place to sit indoors. There was outdoor seating, but it was so windy we didn't want to sit outdoors. And we walked through both sides of the ship buffet area. They've limited the seating on the inside of these Sphere class ships because they also have outer deck seating. Well, that isn't going to help you if you're in Alaska or if it's 40 degrees outside or if it's raining or if it's windy or inclement weather. And we wanted to sit inside. There was nowhere to sit. We had nowhere. We had to literally set our food down on a dirty table and we just left and went somewhere else to eat. Now, you let me know if you've been on one of these new Sphere class ships. What was your experience in the buffet, in the Eatery? I'd be curious to know was our experience different than yours? Now, one thing Princess does, I believe NCL does this too, they do have theme night cruises. Theme night buffets, where one night they'll have Mexican, one night they'll have Italian, one night they'll have Asian. I wish they would let you know when you board the ship which themes, which ethnic foods are going to be available each night of the cruise so that you could plan your specialty dining around it. I love Asian food, so I always would like to go to the Asian themed buffet if I can. All of these cruise lines, if you do themed buffet nights, you know this in advance. Go ahead and let people know what night of each sailing, which nights are going to be which ethnic in the buffet so that we can plan accordingly. That would be a big help. So Princess only gets 5 out of 10. It's another one of those cruise lines that we tend to avoid the buffet if at all possible. One thing I will tell you on the Sphere class ships, at least our experience on Sun, is get there when it opens. If you don't get there right when it opens, you probably are going to have a hard time finding a place to sit because it's very popular. The food on Princess in the buffet is hit or miss. We've had some good things in the buffet. I really like the shawarma stations, the ships that have the shawarma. I love shawarma, so I like that. That's one unique thing. Some of the food's good. The Asian foods were pretty good, but most of the food is meh, not, just average buffet, typical buffet food. And they don't serve it to you. So Princess gets 5 out of 10. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Now we're going to another luxury cruise line, Silversea Cruises. The last ship we were on was Silversea, and we went to La Terrazza, which is their buffet, for breakfast and lunch. In the evening, it becomes an Italian restaurant, and I can only give it 7 out of 10. It's our least favorite luxury cruise line buffet. Sadly, if you're on the previous generation of ships like Moon, Muse, Spirit, Dawn, We feel like those buffets were better. We feel like the traffic, the way they managed the traffic in the buffet was better. This is also the first Silversea cruise we've been on where they did not have cocktail shrimp on the buffet. I looked everywhere. I couldn't find it. I went 2 times and I looked and did not see cocktail shrimp on the buffet. They did have sushi, and their sushi is pretty good on the buffet, but I couldn't find cocktail shrimp. And to me, that's unforgivable. Now, I don't know, maybe they had a provisioning problem, but I'm just calling it balls and strikes like I see. And we love Silversea, don't get me wrong. Every class of ship they have, we've been on. I just don't feel like these new ships, I don't think the buffet was as good as it was on the earlier ships. The traffic getting around, it's almost all self-serve now. The way they have the stations established, you have to serve yourself. There's nowhere for the crew to stand and plate the food for you. There are some stations where there's crew back there that could serve you, I suppose. But we never got that far. So we found it to be very chaotic as far as traffic, very crowded, and it just wasn't as good as experience as we had on the Spirit class ships. Let me know if you're a Silversea fan. What do you think of the buffet on the newer Silver Nova, Silver Ray? What is your view of the buffet on those ships compared to the previous generation? Because we thought the previous generation was a little bit better. Love Silversea. Not a fan of what they did with La Terrazza. I'll talk more about La Terrazza in a future video. But Silversea gets 7 out of 10. Next on our list is Viking Ocean Cruises. Now, you guys know that we're big fans of Viking, both river and ocean. But the World Café on Viking Ocean gets a 9 out of 10. It's as close to a 10. If I went incremental, or if I graduated it beyond that, I would say it's a 9.5 out of 10. This is probably our favorite overall buffet experience on any cruise line. Well, let me tell you why. They serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the World Café. The seating is very comfortable. It's a single line buffet on port side and on starboard side. Now, they do have some things on starboard side that they don't have on the port side. They'll have pizza on the starboard side aft. And on the port side aft, if you go around the corner to the back of the ship, some of the newer ships have a stir fry station where they do like Asian stir fry in the evenings. Sometimes they do pasta. But they will serve you, they will plate the food for you on Viking. They also have fresh cocktail shrimp and crab legs every evening in the buffet, and it's very good. Their other entrees, they have a wide variety. These are small ships compared to some of the other ships. These only hold 900 people, but they have a pretty nice variety. Great salad choices, great entree choices, and you get wine or beer with your meal included. You don't have to pay extra, even if you don't have the drink package. Viking is not all-inclusive. They don't include all your drinks. They do have an optional drink package, which is very fairly priced, I might add. But even if you don't have the drink package, you get wine or beer with any meal on the ship. So whether you're eating in the restaurant or you're eating in World Café, you can go into World Café at 6 o'clock in the evening for dinner. We like to sit in the very back. There's a bar back there at the aft of the ship. And we like to sit there because it's not quite as crowded. It's usually where the crew will go to eat or the officers will go to eat. So it's a little quieter. And we like to go back there, and you can have sparkling wine, which we think is the best sparkling wine of any cruise line. And we'll have complimentary, we can finish dinner and we can sit there for another hour or two and enjoy 2 or 3 drinks. And it's all included. So as long as you're in the World Café during their dinner hours, you're going to drink for free. Okay. Now, Viking's going to get mad at me for saying that maybe, or they're going to change the policy. But right now, That's the policy. 9 out of 10, Viking Ocean, World Café. Absolutely love it. And I would apply that to their expedition ships as well. It's a little bit different layout on the expedition ships, but still the World Café on the expedition ship, and it holds fewer people, and they still have an incredible selection in their World Café. So good job, Viking Ocean. Okay, last on my list, because that's the way it worked out alphabetically, is Virgin Voyages. And Virgin Voyages kind of turned the industry upside down with their buffets. They don't really have a buffet per se, but they have what's called the Galley. And the Galley is kind of like a bunch of different food stations, ethnic oriented. Maybe here you got burgers, over here you've got Asian, over here you got Mexican, and they just have a variety of different ethnic oriented stations. The food quality, very good on Virgin Voyages. That's true of every restaurant on their ship. We had very good food throughout the entire ship, and the Galley was no exception. The downside, if there is one, to the Galley, and I'm giving the Galley 8 out of 10. Very good. The downside is the ordering is a little confusing because you can order from the app on your phone, but we found a lot of people just going up to the counter. I think they wanted you to do it from the app, but you can just walk up and tell somebody behind the serving station what you want. So you could sit down in the Galley at a table, place your order through the app, and sit there and wait, similar to what NCL does with the Indulge Food Hall, except we found the choices and the selection on Virgin Voyages to be better. Virgin Voyages just does a very good job with food, period. The downside of the Galley is it can get very crowded at peak periods. That's true of just about every cruise line buffet, but we love the concept that Virgin has. I just think it could be polished a little bit more as far as the app ordering system. I'm a big cheeseburger guy. They have one of the best cheeseburgers and maybe the best French fries of any cruise line. They came out hot and fresh every time. Very good. So good job, Virgin Voyages. If you've been on a Virgin Voyages cruise, let me know what you think of the Galley. Put that in the comments down below. Now, if you've enjoyed this video and gotten some value from it, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. That really will help our YouTube rankings. Much appreciated. And here's one tip I would give every cruise line. I haven't found a cruise line yet that does this, and I wish every cruise line would do this, especially if they have self-service buffets. If any of you fly on American Airlines and you've gone to the Admirals Club has a buffet where you can have breakfast. Sometimes during lunch they have lunch and snacks and things. They have a little box at the end of the buffet line where you get in line, and it has rubber gloves. And you can put on these gloves so that when you're touching the utensils, you're not touching everybody else's germs. Why can't cruise lines? And I think I know why they don't do it. I'm not going to talk about it in this video. But every cruise line should have rubber or plastic or nitrile gloves at the end of the buffet line. At the end of the buffet line, you could take them off and dispose of them. But for health purposes alone, it would be huge. They'd have much fewer cases of norovirus on these cruises. So cruise lines, if you're listening, forget your policy on plastics. I know you have an anti-plastic mindset. Consider putting those gloves in the buffets. Hey, if you have any comments, put them down below. Much appreciated. Thanks for joining me today. And we'll see you on the next Cruise Report. Until then, smooth sailing.